The people who pressed on with that American creed, yes, we can.
Yes, together we will make America
better. Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of Unintelligent Intellectuals. I'm your host, stuff in my mouth.
As I eat my Popeyes.
But yeah, guys, I know it's been a long time, so got a lot of bukkake to go through, and we're just gonna dive right into our usual random fashion. And I have my daughter guest appearance, so if you hear a little girl crying incessantly, you understand that we're not doing anything crazy and nefarious. Yeah. Hopefully not. Well, get your ass out of here.
I want to say hi.
Yeah, you want to say hi.
All the social media persons out there.
Yeah, all three of them listening in.
Yeah, at least I'm police.
Boy! Give me a spoon. That's what children are for. Slavery. That brings me to our sponsor, brought to you by
Air China.
Air China. Oh man. Where to start?
I don't know, man. Because I don't know what I want to, what I'm legally able to talk about.
Well, you know, funny. I checked out the Hash Act, and it's like there's a lot of restrictions for what we can talk about, but for real, it's only limited by, like, we can't accept donations and stuff like that for like political office or anything like that. Or encourage people to contribute one way or another, and the criticism that I thought was a lot more restrictive only applies to if we're in a federal building or if we're at work physically. So technically, and we just can't represent ourselves with our official positions, but as independent citizens, we could just go balls to the wall.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I got kind of excited, but I was like, ooh, let me, I'll temper myself a little bit. And,
yeah. The wrong flow is going to kick in, and the whole world's going to end, and I'm going to have no job and be homeless.
Yeah. And we're like, oh, well, technically it's playing while you're at work, so suck this pink slip.
Suck this pink slip.
But,
where's your union now?
Oh, man. That's a whole other thing. But,
reading up on some pedophilia stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Putting in my research.
Damn.
I've been very diligent, if you know what I mean.
Jesus.
No, I just heard some stuff about some people from like Nickelodeon.
Oh, really? You know, I feel crazy when I hear about people from those kind of shows, because they portray one thing and you watch it as a kid. So you're not really thinking.
This is old.
Yeah.
This is stuff that's like that happened like 7 years ago, or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And like nobody knew about it.
Yeah, like when I think about like what is it? Oh, well, this is Disney, I think. Raven. That's So Raven. And Raven Simone and Chelsea, and then the other guy, and like the other guy just seemed like he went crazy when he got older, or like he used to talk.
Oh, this one was the creator of iCarly and Drake and Josh.
So did they have like a lot of lawsuits or allegations set up against them, or
odd behavior? Like massaging feet and. Or making the kids do stuff that involved like something with their feet, and he was like, "Oh, it's innocent, like it's just something funny."
Oh, man.
But you know, like drizzling ketchup on like their feet, and then like watching it like run down their feet.
What the fuck, man?
Like that's in the episodes.
Oh, I thought it was like off script. God damn.
But then like on his Twitter, he was like asking people to like, "Oh, show me pictures of your feet." Like it's just.
I'm sensing a trend.
So it's not explicitly sexual, but feet are known to be sexual.
Yeah.
And I think anytime you potentially can
Link.
links like sexualizing children, people are gonna run with it.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me of James Franco. He just had a thing recently where he's like, finally breaking the silence, and he's talking about his side of the story, about everything that happened.
Oh, what did he say? I haven't watched that yet. I did see it happen,
Yeah.
but I haven't watched it yet.
Oh no, he was just saying how how he struggled with addiction and alcoholism, and he got over that at an early stage, and so when he got into this when he got into a sex addiction, he just he was thinking, oh well, as long as it's between two consenting adults, he didn't think that there was anything wrong with it. And to be honest, I didn't really know too much about the allegations in the first place, so I had to read up on that a little bit. But apparently it's like he's just like, oh, he started a school or a class about
Acting.
Yeah, for acting, and then
Well, that's where a lot of the big ones came from. Is that he was trying to get with them.
Yeah.
Which I feel like it's the more I haven't really read a lot about what that whole situation was, but it seems to be like it might be similar to what the Louis C.K. thing was.
I think it's even less. I think it's more benign than that, to be honest. Because
I think he's too wrapped up into what's going on, and then he's just like,
yeah.
oh, I'm just hitting on him. So like, and he's not necessarily understanding the power dynamics.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Weinstein thing was clearly like,
yeah, like I'm preying on you.
Oh yeah, like, do you want this role? Where he was just like, I have all these women that are around me, and some I want to have sex with.
Right.
I'm going to play my hand on it and see what happens.
Right. And
Just like Louis C.K., can I jerk off in front of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is happening.
Oh my god, I'm so happy.
Yeah. I don't think he asked for permission. I think he was just like,
No, he would.
I'm gonna do this.
No, he would ask.
Okay.
He always asked.
Okay, but like even with that, didn't
or at least the people that came out, they said that he asked.
Okay.
And then one said no, and then he didn't do it.
Okay.
And then like shortly thereafter, she like quit comedy.
Oh, it was so traumatizing. Yeah.
I don't think it was that. It was probably because she just wasn't funny. A lot of women get access to stand-up because people want to fuck them.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, you should do an open mic night.
Yeah. I don't know, Louis C.K. It's like it sounded like he was doing something, and it's like, no, this is a little uncomfortable. So, but like, if people were really that uncomfortable with it, they could have. And when it's like, oh, it was on the phone. Like, oh, he was checking off while he was on the phone with me, and they're just like, oh, you can hang out. Like, not the most. Not the scariest thing I've ever heard. Like, not exactly back into a corner there, but I thought it was just like I was under the impression he'd be like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna pull out my dick and start jerking off," and they're like, he would like start doing it. They're like, "Oh, okay, he's going for it." But
no, he would just say, "Hey, can I jerk off in front of you?"
Okay, and they probably took that like, what?
Yeah, sure, and then he would be like, "All right."
Yeah. Well, like with that, it's like, yeah, like you said, it's not a Harvey Weinstein situation, so it's not like he's utilizing his position in order to.
As far as allegations on like burying someone's career based off a negative interaction with that,
Yeah.
No one has come out and said that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it obviously is just weird nonetheless.
Right.
There's a difference between being like an absolute creep and then like
intentionally trying to utilize your position, fresh and fitting it all your life.
I mean, I'm sure there are some bosses who are just constantly trying to like hit on people just because they want to fuck everybody.
Right.
They don't necessarily want to like use that position of power that they have to then get them to fuck them. They're just like, hey, what's going on? You want to hang out sometime after work? Like, it's just like one of those, like, they're just kind of like, they're just like maniacs.
Yeah.
Just constantly trying to do that.
Yeah, that's kind of what it sounded like with this whole James Franco situation. It was more like he was.
He probably was just trying to fuck everything.
Yeah, that's what he said. He had a sex addiction, and then he was just like, "Oh, I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to be myself." He was like, "Oh, so if I was with as long as it was a consensual sex, then it's
Also,
like,
anything to give me more reason to hate Joe Rogan. Or not Joe Rogan. Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen.
Yeah, but it was funny because when he was asked about Seth Rogen, he was just like, "Yeah, man, I understand." And it's like, and he's still my friend, but he's just like, but like I still love him or something like that. But he's
He
like,
wouldn't be my friend.
Yeah. But he's just like, yeah, I mean,
He's a fucking maniac.
yeah, he was. James was like super humble about the whole thing, though. It's like you're not really in a position.
Well, he's probably a psychopath.
Oh, Seth.
No.
James. Yeah, it seemed like in the interview you could tell like, oh, this guy he's been.
But people, I mean, like good actors, or not like, but like good actors, like are like psychopaths.
Yeah, I met like Joaquin Phoenix. It's just like, whoa, that guy's been.
Because they're just in Hollywood in the game that you have to play, and you're constantly like, hey, what's going on? You want to grab a line? Like, it's this whole bit, like, you're constantly, like, you're not a person.
Yeah.
For, like, the majority of your life.
Will was talking about that in his new memoir. He was, like, talking about how who he was as a person versus his acting persona were, like, just...
Because, yes, you have to play a
so
game.
different. Yeah. And especially if you're taking, like, dynamically different roles, where it's, like, I mean, Seth Rogen played like the same generic character in all his movies, but at least with James Franco, he has fun with a lot of his roles, especially with the ones he's doing with Seth Rogen. But he's played a lot of different characters, so it's like, yeah, I see it. You know, like I see where he could. He's so stuck in that kind of that headspace where it's just like you're gonna have to get a little weird.
I'm just saying, like, to when you get to these certain points.
Yeah.
You're going to deal with a lot of psychopaths.
Yeah.
Or sociopath, like these different forms of just like
people were not really functioning well, and yeah,
like functioning because you're high functioning.
No, like functioning well in the apparatus that they're
like
in right now. But but if they had if you took that same person and cut and paste them in like a regular,
put them at a barbecue in a backyard, like regular people, they'd be like, "You're fucking nuts."
Right. So it's just, but it didn't come up. But again, like this is just.
I'm just talking shit.
Yeah, this is just like from his perspective when he was talking about it. But he's just like, he didn't strike me as someone who's just like, oh yeah, I did this. I'm sorry. He was just like, oh yeah, like I didn't understand the power dynamic. I'm sorry for the adverse effects that might have on people because I didn't take that into account. So I was just like, oh okay. Granted,
I sound like I'm a cokehead.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I left the line for you.
Hopefully, the kids don't get it.
Speaking about James, it's like no. But yeah, it didn't strike me as I wasn't too upset with it. But again, I didn't really follow it like that. But from what I've heard, and I went back and read some of the allegations. Like
I saw a little bit of it, and I was like, I kind of got the gist of what it was. It was
yeah, it wasn't anything crazy, but yep, get over James.
Because you usually could tell when of how egregious the first one is, and then if it continues to get worse or the same type of things, then you can kind of get a gist of what it is. But when all of his first things were coming out, it was just it's bad, but it's not horrifying.
Yeah,
he didn't rape a child.
Yeah. And then, of all the people who were,
it seemed like he was just overly aggressive. Yeah,
it seemed like oh, he wanted this thing, and then they, even from what I read, it's these are people who were romantically involved with him. So it was already.
So he was getting with them.
Yeah, but it was consensual. They were already.
Well, he was making some. I know he was making some people at the aspiring actresses feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But that's just because they're seeing him as a teacher, and he's seeing them as oh, I can teach you, but then I'm also would like to have sex.
Nice, right, and so they would talk, and those.
And then let's take teacher very like lightly. Like it's like one class or some shit.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
He's bouncing around a bunch of schools.
Honorary professor at some college where he teaches a class. Like it's not
class on acting. So I was like, all right. Like this is not your history professor.
He's not like part of the institution.
Yeah. So and they were talking. There's one thing that I read. They were talking to this one of the students, and there was I think that put up the initial tweet after he got the Golden Globes, and she was just and they said, "Oh, so what did he force you to have sex with him?" And she's like, "No, I could have said no, but I didn't want to disappoint him." So it's like, okay, well. And you know, I mean, I'm not in that world, but part of me is like, bitch, that's your fault. Like, you made this choice. I don't know, man.
That sounds like Aziz Ansari's blowjob.
Oh, God.
You remember that one?
Yeah. It's like, so
he tried to get her to do it. She said no. Tried to do it again. No. Third time, yes.
Yeah.
And then but she didn't want to. Like, so you put your mouth and let a man finish till completion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by try to get you to say,
yeah. It's like, hey.
He didn't pull it out and was like, your mouth wanted, it was like, they weren't on a date, went back to his apartment.
Yeah. Whining and dining her. Yeah, that's not, yeah.
So it was like the third, attempt, she ended up, just doing it.
Yeah, damn it, man. That...
But then when you listen to her talk about it, it's so clearly evident that she's this fickle person.
Right, you just made this.
She didn't come across as this strong woman who's oh no, she definitely was hey, not tonight, I'm not feeling it, I do want to see you again, but just not she definitely was kind of I'm oh, I don't.
Yeah, stop it. Yeah, there's a difference between stop.
Not stop it, but maybe the hand goes somewhere and then you move the hand, these subtle things. I thought he would get the hint. It's well, if he keeps making the attempts, he's not getting the hint.
Yeah.
And it's Aziz.
Yeah.
It's 100-pound Indian that's 5'4".
Oh man, I didn't know he had the salt. That's crazy.
And he's Mr. Progressive liberal, so
yeah, it's crazy to characterize that kind of thing as an assault. That's what
when all of the Me Too things were happening, that came out. And he got involved in that. But obviously, it didn't really do much
to him. Yeah. But when I heard the James Franco thing, I was expecting something a little bit more egregious, just because it's he's canceled for so long. Seth Rogen had one.
He just was acting like an animal.
Yeah, so I'm just he was
attempting to fuck anything he wanted.
And then he consensually asked people. It's and it kind of goes back to the whole the oppression hierarchy thing, where it's the more oppressed you are, then the higher you're exalted in today's society, where it's oh man, I can't believe this terrible thing happened, and woe is me is so bad, and I can't believe people are doing this to me. It's you're not without power. You could utilize what you have in order to get out the situation that you're in. But there's certain situations where you can't, or where it's it's really heavily implied, but it's where your career is is going to be damaged as a result. But from what I've heard, it just doesn't sound like
that was the situation.
Yeah.
For at least Franco.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, that's all about that specific situation. But just going back into the power dynamic thing, it's I don't know how to get people out of that frame of mind of thinking the more
you're not going to be able to.
Yeah, I'm starting to slowly slip into a depressive acceptance of that fact. I'm just man, this is terrible.
Well, all of these things are just any form of extremism or addiction. It's you're gonna come to a point where either something clicks or just or enough events that are bad that happen to you that then create you to go think somewhere else.
Yeah. Oh man. And but I'm just saying, like, society in general, like, what is it that? And it's
It's just like people's view on black people.
yeah.
Like, I didn't really have, like, I mean, it depends, but, like, growing up, I didn't have, like, an opinion on black people.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I didn't grow up in an environment that, like, was going to have a negative or positive. It was just, like, they're just there. Like, it doesn't...
Yeah. This is a fact of life, and...
they exist, and they're people. Like,
yeah.
But then, like, as I would get older... Like, I didn't grow up around a lot of, like, any black people.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really go to school with any black people. But, like, I knew them. Like,
yeah.
but, like, so, like, if I have enough negative interactions, I had, like, I don't want to say, like, I had, like, a negative view of black people, but it wasn't, like, a positive one.
Yeah.
And then what happened? Would meet black people, and then, like, oh, cool, we get along and talk about basketball, and then, oh, here's another guy. Oh, this one. Oh, look. There's an African. And then, like, I just keep... And then I'm like, oh, okay, now I have, like, a lot more positive interactions.
Yeah.
So then I have a general better view.
Yeah, and nuanced, like, okay, I understand, like, oh, not all black people are the same, and, oh, these are the different ways that people look at things, yeah.
And then the more that then the more that you get comfortable, the more you're interacting with random black... And then, like, it just keeps growing and growing on top of itself, and then, like, I end up having this, like I have, like, this, like, well thought out opinion on, like, how black people should be held, because now I have, like, a vested interest in what happens to them.
Yeah. So it's like, but that's because, like, you were open to the experience, and then you got exposed over and over again.
Because I had enough positive. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's just like what you're talking about with.
Yeah, we're talking about people who are dogmatically set in a certain kind of frame of thinking, and
like some white girl,
it's like radicalized. These people are like radicalized into thinking that there's nothing that they can do for themselves, or that there's a group of people that can't do anything for themselves.
It's like the white girl who puts in their dating profile, like, you have to support Black Lives Matter. And it's like, well, any white person that knows enough black people knows that a lot of black people don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Some like it, some don't like it, some don't have an opinion because they don't care. Like, some people have a vague idea, some people have no idea.
Yeah.
So for you to have if you as a white person have a standard of how other non-whites should view black issues, when I know that black people don't even share the opinion on the issue.
Yeah.
You obviously don't know any black people.
Yeah. Or you're making a gross prejudiced assumption that that all black people think in a monolithic way,
And that's the right way.
Yeah. How dare there be a diversity of thought? Yeah, like I was telling you, like, I was watching the Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris, them talking back and forth about religion. A series like 4 long discussions.
I watched them all. It was like a total of like 12 hours.
Yeah, I loved it, man. Yeah, me too. I was sitting there, just like, I'd pause it a few times, just kind of ponder on it. I'm just like. What the fuck did they just say? But one thing that's really stuck out to me, is something that I really didn't think about, is the dogmatism, it sounds like they're both not fans of radicalists. So it's like whereas Jordan is more or Sam Harris is more, religion in and of itself represents or tends to represent the
religion itself will create extremism.
It will and it'll revolve around that, because even though he acknowledges that there's moderate voices, but the extremist voices will prevail for one reason or another, and that's what he's really railing against. And Jordan Peterson is kind of going in defending the religious moderates and saying that, it's important for us to protect to not bash against religion, but to bash against the extremists and dogmatic viewpoints, specifically, because if we were to eradicate religion, as it seems like Sam's proposing, then what's left is this vacuum, and what's gonna fill that vacuum might be worse than what we have right now. And so it's like, and I really didn't. I never thought of it that way. But after watching those, and then I'm like looking around at the news and stuff like that, and I see how people are dogmatically for one party or another.
The worst thing that was religious people were doing was, make abortion illegal, and you shouldn't say the N-word in music.
Yeah. Recent times, yeah.
You're saying the F word too much. Like, it was censorship of music, sexuality in TV, and then abortion. Yeah,
when it comes to society-wide and and Christians in particular, and in right now times. But like, of course, before it was bad, and then
I guess anti-gay marriage, but then that just kind of went away.
Yeah. But it's like there's ways to talk about it and to address it. But like, so I'm definitely in the Peterson camp than the Harrison camp. But of course, I'm a little biased because I'm Catholic. but when it comes to this dogmatism, it's like, I think that's the way we should treat people who are like radicalized about like this, focusing on this group thinks about things monolithically like this, or this group is...
They just have a very loud voice, and I think that makes it seem like it's worse than what it is.
Yeah, because I don't think the majority of people think that way. I think it's just that they're so loud.
That's why all these shows get canceled.
Yeah. Which is super unfortunate, because that's kind of the diversity of thought.
I mean, that's how you can look. What movies and TV shows do well or get renewed.
Yeah.
Because Seth Rogen's didn't make it past 2 episodes.
Yikes.
You know what? Have you heard about that one?
No.
That's the Santa.
The Santa? No.
The HBO Santa thing. So Sarah Silverman's in it, and basically there are a history of Santa Clauses, and they're all old white men, and that's a problem. And that a woman should be Santa. Wow. So then, and it's a cartoon.
Wow.
And of course, it just goes from there. But they didn't, and then. So obviously there was a big backlash and people disliking the videos when you could still dislike them, because within a couple of days then that changed where you can't dislike videos.
Yeah.
Or you can't visually see
the how dislike many. Ratio. Yeah.
And then Seth said, what did he tweet it out? Like the only thousands of white supremacists hate my show or something like that. So, but it's done. Got nixed. Because they're doing the thing where like they're releasing the episode per week or whatever it is. And they've only done 2 and they're done.
Damn. Now, funny enough, I think I don't remember what happened, but I remember seeing something with Sarah Silverman. She was criticizing some kind of a journalist about something. She's like, "Oh, you need to report the facts."
She said, "Read the article before you start commenting."
Yeah.
And she was defending DeSantis.
And then the viewers, somebody like they start railing against Silverman.
Well, then he said something like, "I did read it, and like this is like some fascist horseshit." But all DeSantis wants to do is create a state-controlled National Guard, similar to what a state militia would be. And if what people don't know is that there are 22 states that have that.
Yeah,
it's not a new precedence.
Yeah, isn't that exactly the National Guard? Isn't that
it's federally controlled?
Really? Oh, okay. I thought that was state control.
No, because remember, National Guard can be brought into active duty service.
That's right.
And do deployments.
But I thought that
let's say Arizona is going through a natural disaster crisis. The federal government could take National Guards also from New Mexico and the surrounding areas and deploy them in there. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's federally controlled. That's why it's the National Guard.
Yeah, I follow. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how.
So you're just creating another National Guard that is just
under
controlled by the state.
Yeah. I don't.
So it's not a fascist attempt. Like half the country already has that.
Yeah. I always thought that
granted,
it was.
It's DeSantis, so people are gonna feel this kind of way.
Some kind of way about one way or another. Yeah, but that's crazy. But it's
the article doesn't even bash him.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy how
It just kind of states of what he's talking about and wants to do. Like it doesn't. It's not even a hit piece.
Yeah, and Sarah wasn't matching the lady who said anything about it, but
Just read the article first.
yeah, but then
Because if you read the article, it doesn't sound like it's that scary.
and then everybody started coming after Sarah Silverman. Like she's like, "Oh, how dare you? You're so racist, and you're bashing this just because she's black."
Isn't
and
DeSantis Spanish?
Yeah. Oh, and maybe we're talking about two different things though. So Sarah Silverman
No,
said,
the article is talking about DeSantis.
yeah. But and Sarah Silverman said
So
something.
she's defending the article. She's essentially defending DeSantis's attempt to create.
She was criticizing a reporter
Yeah,
who.
but I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
The article, he talks about. It's a he?
No, it's a she. Or at least the instance where that I saw.
You know what I'm talking about. To read the article.
Yeah.
Whoever it is.
Yeah.
I didn't really fuse the name of the Twitter person into my head. So they talk about how we need to stop this. This is fascism or utilitarian takeover, whatever the hell it was. But the article is just talking about how DeSantis wants to create a state-controlled National Guard / relief where they can handle Florida's issues without worrying about what the federal government could potentially do.
Okay.
That's it. And the thing of what he wants to do is already established in 22 other states.
Yeah. So I was that kind of takes me back because I really thought the National Guard was state control, under control.
It is, but it's like dual.
Yeah, I thought
the federal government can supersede your control.
Okay, I thought that the federal government needed to seek permission from the local governors in order to do.
Maybe they do, but it's. I don't think they can really necessarily deny that.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it to understand the details between what DeSantis is proposing.
All I know is National Guard people can be deployed. They can be put into active duty.
For sure.
So I'm assuming the federal government supersedes state control.
I follow, yeah.
And DeSantis' whole thing is being against the state right now, or being against the federal government right now.
Yeah, the state being the federal government, but I don't.
Just like he said, if they keep giving him illegal immigrants, he's going to send them all to Delaware. Because apparently they're dropping people in the middle of the night, and I don't know.
Wow, that's crazy. So yeah, he's probably talking about something that protects creating some kind of institution that's fighting for or protects against
just being controlled by the state of Florida.
That's looking for Florida's best interest as opposed to the federal government's best interest that could utilize whatever they.
It doesn't seem that crazy.
Yeah,
I think Virginia has it.
Yeah, I don't know all the particular nuances of the system that he's proposing versus what exists, but it doesn't sound like a utilitarian.
It's the same
takeover.
thing. It's just the federal government has no say in what it does.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable. You could disagree with it, but if you disagree with it, I don't think you could call it totalitarian.
He's really probably just trying to stir the pot.
Yeah.
And if he's able to do it, if it's able to do it, he does it. But I think he's more trying to just make everybody look like shit.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's been doing this entire last 2 years.
Yeah, and I just say how people, instead of reporting on it and being like, oh, this is what it is, these are the nuances, I think people have a tendency to try to be as alarming as possible just to get as many eyeballs to look in their direction. So that's why
they want views, retweets,
so
engagement, comments.
Yeah, so to be fair, I don't know. I'm not convinced that this person who said all those crazy things, I don't think that they're convinced that it's a wild totalitarian move. And I think that they have a fear that these elements exist, but instead of writing things in a nuanced kind of way, they're doing it in a way that's it's going to garner more eyeballs and hammer harder down on DeSantis than anything else in their hopes. but that kind of ends justified means type of thing is kind of crazy. And so, I mean, when Sarah Silverman says something about it, it's like she's not like a measured approach on this. She's just like, oh, well, I'm a comedian, and I noticed that.
And her show just got canceled.
Wow, was it over this or?
I just told you, the Santa Show.
Oh.
It's starring. It's starring Seth Rogen and her, and then I think Seth Rogen might have wrote it.
Okay, no, I thought that was another show, Sarah Silverman.
Yeah.
Okay, no, but
no, this was canceled within like the last maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah,
because it was coming out in time for the Christmas thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming most people were just like,
yeah, no, thank you.
Well, they were just like, can we have something nice, you fuck dick. And then of course everybody was railing him for being Jewish. Because he's the type of person that is talking about being inclusive and all this stuff, and then a couple of Jews then shit all over Santa. It's like, oh yeah, that inclusivity really rings true. It's not like he did it about Hanukkah.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I think a lot of Christmas songs are written by Jewish people too. So I mean, we're not. Really,
I don't think it's one of those things. Republicans are now turning into Democrats.
Yeah, it's weird. Man.
Whereas, it's they're kind of tired of just being bullied around. So they're like, okay, you don't want to be inclusive about our religion. We're going to come after you and call you.
Yeah, I follow. But,
that's what it is. Now conservatives are trying to cancel people.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Which is still, again, it's like the same kind of alarmist, ridiculous circus that.
But at least theirs is in counteraction to it being done to them for the last decade. So they're.
I understand it. I understand that.
But obviously, it's just going to tear people more apart.
Right. Exactly.
That's why every now and then people have to shit on Chris Pratt for just being Chris Pratt.
Oh yeah, how dare he have values other than what we want him to believe, asshole. Big old funny fuck. You Christian funny fuck.
How did he get in trouble again?
It was some kind of thing that I think I think most of the cast from all the Marvel universe assembled.
No, there was something recent that happened.
Oh really? No, I heard about the trans or the gay rights thing, and then he didn't say anything against it. He just didn't show up or something like that, or didn't show any support, and then everyone was like, yeah, angry typing. But I don't know anything.
Was this recent?
No, this was a while ago.
Oh, okay.
This is when everyone was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he didn't show up." I was like,
well, I remember this started with who's the best Chris in Hollywood. I remember it was
Brad and
Evans.
Guy. Yeah.
And then oddly, everyone just started viciously attacking Pratt.
Yeah, they're very different. I mean, I don't know enough about Helmsworth, outside of Thor and that one Netflix movie that he has that's he's some kind of agent, and he was
Are you talking about Black Hat?
No, not Black Hat.
Oh, the Extraction?
Yeah, Extraction. Yeah. So it's just okay, but he doesn't. I mean, I think he plays more of a dynamic role in Thor than an Extraction. But I mean, dynamic in terms of acting versatility. But Chris Evans, I think is super impressive because I remember him when I was younger and I watched Not Another Teen Movie and stupid shit like that. And he's all these goofy ass characters, and then he's in Fantastic Four and in that other movie Push. It's with the the power, it didn't really go anywhere, but I thought it was super interesting. And then he's just one of the centerpieces in this whole new Marvel universe. So it's damn, and he impressed me. I had to think twice. I was like, wait, Chris Evans, who is this guy? And I was like, oh no, he's the same guy. But and Pratt, I know him from Park and Recreation. He's just funny ass dude. Yeah, Fat Pratt. And then he went to Guardians of the Galaxy. I was like, oh shit, look at this guy. But yeah, I mean, just in terms of acting wise, and this goes way beyond the scope of what we were talking about.
Yeah,
but
down a route that I wasn't really quite sure where you were going.
My bad. Yeah, I was just telling my feelings on the who's, in my opinion, the best Chris is
neither of them.
I'm most impressed with Evans. But I appreciate
Who's
Pratt.
the fourth?
Oh, there's a fourth? I don't know. Shit. But they're all they're dynamically different people. So it's like just because they have the same name, it's like that. But I know
It was
it's like
supposed to
a
be.
joke.
It's just supposed to be a cute thing.
Yeah. But
They just tell us why you like this Chris the best. Like that's all it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, tell us who Chris you like, and then please shit on the Chris you hate the most.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I don't think Pratt has done anything to garner any kind of
He goes to a
Vitriol.
church that's like against homosexuality or something like that.
But in that case, it's like, okay, well, you don't.
But it's a famous church. Like Bieber goes to it, and like all these other celebrities go to it.
Yeah, but it's like, again, like in order to like, how do you fight people who have a crazy ideology?
Just who gives a shit?
You're so done with it.
We didn't care about what church Obama went to.
Oh well, some
With
people were like,
goddamn America or goddamn white people and all that shit. He seems like a pleasant pastor.
Yeah, but it's like some people care enough to like to look at it but it's like, well, like you could be
people cared about it. I'm saying, like, in the grand scheme of things, nobody gave a shit that this guy said at least some questionable things.
Yeah, I follow.
That were like aggressively questionable.
Yeah.
Not like, we don't agree with homosexuality. Like, it's not like he came out there and said, I really don't like, the white culture.
Yeah.
Like casually with like a smile on his face. Like he's like screaming about how he like hates America. For, like, its sins of its past or whatever.
Yeah. But that's why I'm kind of I don't like the whole when people are like, oh, well, we're doing this as a reaction to what was done to us type of thing, because that's just an endless bit. But it's like, oh, like the cancel culture that they're trying to do for like
that's just inevitable. If you keep
the pendulum is just gonna
It'd be one thing if Republicans had the power structure, control over the media, and then Democrats were attempting to cancel people for doing their wrongdoings, and then the Republicans who actually have the control of everything were then turning around and then canceling all of them. But instead, it's like the exact opposite. It's like the liberals are in control. They've been in control for decades. And now they're just canceling everybody. So now Republicans are turning around.
She don't care. She just she's like, I just want the food. Well, yeah, it's just unfortunate, and like I don't blame them for doing that. It's like, oh, if you have one pull in one direction, like there's gonna be
and it's not really cancel. They're just shitting.
Yeah, I follow. But
they're just liking the videos. They're downvoting things. They're creating a stir. They're writing comments that are very negative, and then in turn, because they get so much of that. The people in charge are turning around and like canceling shows. Like what's that one with the new Netflix one that was like Bebop or something like
Cowboy
that?
Bebop. Oh, that's what I was gonna say that after I finished the.
That's done.
Let me finish real fast with Sarah Silverman. They called her a racist for all that, and then Sarah, she was just like, she responded back to that. She was just like, oh well, like I wasn't like, I never called her, and like nothing that I said was based on her. Well, Sarah was like, I didn't say anything, like I wasn't criticizing her based on her race. Like I was criticizing her because she's a Harvard educated, world-renowned journalist, and she's doing shitty reporting.
Are you going back to that?
Yeah, just real fast before I.
But that's expected.
Yeah.
If a white person criticizes a black person,
yeah, of course.
As long as that black person has the right narrative, they're racist.
Yeah, but yeah, with Cowboy Bebop, like in terms of canceling, it's I was gonna say I think things are moving in the opposite direction where like, well, Cowboy Bebop has been canceled for different reasons. It's not. It's just because like people aren't happy with the way that the live action came out, but But the chick was getting in battles with everybody. Yeah, and the chick in the animated version, she was like,
because what she has, she's full figured or something like that.
Yeah, she's like 6 foot, like nothing, like 2-inch waist, like wear like really provocative clothing. Like she's just like an incredibly like a sex oriented image person. So it's
And then
like,
the girl they got was just some regular person.
yeah, just like 5 foot whatever, and then it's like, oh, and she's not dressing provocative. They dynamically changed the character, so it's like it wasn't the same. Whereas like in the anime, she like used her sex appeal, but she was really intelligent, and she also
So just what it was calling, it'd be like calling it Dragon Ball Z, and then Piccolo's just a regular person.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
It's not an alien.
Exactly.
It's not green.
Exactly. Yeah, it's exactly.
He just looks like Goku.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, but
so obviously everyone's gonna hate that Dragon Ball Z version because Piccolo's not Piccolo.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like. And it's impossible for live action to encapsulate everything that is animated.
Because I have no idea what the hell Bebop Cowboy is.
Oh no, it's good. It's good. It's Cowboy Bebop. It's
there you go. I said Bebop Cowboy.
Well, like Bebop is it's like a.
I just know that John Cho was in it and that it got canceled.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It was. I think the story in and of itself. I think they did a decent job, but like they. I think that they fell flat on for real. That the fight choreography was like, oh, that was.
So just in general, it just didn't make.
I think
meet the mark that everybody was expecting.
Yeah, like there's a character on. There's a lot of like the animated show is very. Like beyond ahead of its time and has like a lot of very controversial stuff. Like nowadays, it's like you can't like the character that girl was playing, Faye. It was like that would be real controversial if they did live action and they clearly depicted her. So they changed it up, and also it's like it wouldn't have been.
They just didn't do it so drastically.
Yeah, they didn't go that like they completely changed her character, but because it's like, and they used it as an opportunity to. Oh, let's bring in lesbian into this story, and I think what most people got upset about is her reaction to people as opposed to the character itself. Because I think there were people upset with the character, but then when she came out, she's like, "Oh, well, it's impossible to do this, and you guys are just misogynists," and they were just like, well, "No, we just enjoy the original art piece, like." And you just fucked it up, and now instead of being humble about it, they're just explaining how.
It'd be like if you had Wonder Woman come out and she's like she's a 5 foot tall like Colombian who weighs 300 pounds.
Yeah.
People would be like, no.
Yeah. This is different from what I want. But instead of being like, I understand it's different.
Like you could change her racial makeup, but like, can you make her look like she's strong?
Yeah, they changed almost everything about that character. And instead of her like being like, all right, well, like taking a measured approach, like we're trying our best to depict this character in today's climate, and with the whole sexual abuse thing, I didn't want to create an image on screen that little girls were going to aspire to this kind of thing, so we try to.
We do enough of that as is. Don't worry.
Yeah, but it's like if they try to take a nuanced approach.
The song of the year was WAP. That's all.
There you go. Yeah, well,
I think we can deal with the Netflix.
Well, like I mean, funny enough, I mean, she doesn't let her. Cardi B doesn't let her daughter listen to it.
She said that.
Yeah, like I don't
want to know. I don't. Yeah. I'm okay.
Yeah, but it was crazy. But so they're canceling for very different reasons, and it's like it's not a cancel culture kind of cancel. It's like a cancel culture type of thing. It's like if that, but
there's legitimate grounds and multiple reasons as to why you would cancel that show.
Yeah. Like people are legitimately upset, but like the show in and of itself, I think they did a decent job. But it's just the thing that people were upset about weren't addressed appropriately, and she really just kind of poured fuel on that fire. And again, it's like maybe she thought.
And now she got actual like internet hatred coming towards the show.
Yeah.
Instead of just people being like, "Oh, I'll write a bad review."
Right. Oh, I didn't like how Faye was depicted.
Downvote this video. Instead, it was like now they actually have like a cumulative force being like, "The show sucks."
Yeah. Because the show came off real cocky already. Like they were just like, "Oh, we're gonna fix the problems."
Well, John Cho was on Tiger Belly, Bobby Lee's podcast.
Okay.
Like the week, like when it came out. So he was on there specifically to promote it on like a big podcast. And then he was probably making other podcast rounds.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then like it was canceled within like a few days.
That sucks. Damn.
But he still got paid for it, so
Yeah. I think if they spun it the right way, it wouldn't have gotten. I don't think it would have gotten canceled if they had better. If they cared about how people thought, instead of just being like, "Oh, I'm right, so fuck you."
That's what's happening with any really comic or anime show or movie.
Well, that's at least in the.
That's why somebody was pointing out like, with the success of Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Of how well that's been doing, and how not well everything else has been doing. That Marvel's not dead. It's just the new characters are gonna kill it.
Damn. Yeah, I'm afraid of how they're gonna do with the. I mean, Spider-Man has always been my favorite superhero, and like my favorite thing about Spider-Man is how he's connected to everybody. So I thought it was really cool that the first universal multiversal class that they have, and they kind of teased it with the Spider-Verse version with Mike Morales, but the first Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that they have about the multiverse, they use Spider-Man as a centerpiece. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm just like, I'm real happy about that. But I heard a lot of bad things about the Eternals. I thought Shang-Chi was phenomenal. I was very impressed.
It was okay.
You didn't like it that much?
I thought it was a little haphazard.
You think so? How so?
I don't know. I think the story, the main story and the journey I liked.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of the kind of cliche, we have to train everybody and then...
Oh, okay.
I thought that was a little too cliche.
Okay, yeah.
But that's me being like a dumbass movie critic.
No,
I still watched the movie and enjoyed it and wasn't disappointed that I saw it.
It's just not the best thing that in all creation. Yeah. I follow.
When I'm comparing it to the other Marvel movies, I'm like, this one kind of missed the mark.
Oh, okay.
Because like Ant-Man is a lesser known person, and it didn't do as well as the others in the box offices.
Which is crazy. That's one of my favorite Marvel movies.
It was a great movie.
Yeah.
The first one and the second one.
Yeah,
They're both great.
Yeah, I think the second one really like blew my socks off. I really liked the first one, but the second one was like leaps and bounds ahead of like anything else that I thought they were putting out. Because I think it's like the science fiction element that they had in it was it was wow.
And that's an example. Like I love both of those.
Yeah.
But then the
I follow that. Yeah. Compared to that, I follow.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but I don't know. Like I don't know if it's lazy writing, poor directing. Maybe they cut it bad.
Yeah, I think they were trying to cater it too much towards the Chinese audience. Which, funny enough, I don't think they even
watched it.
Yeah, I think they should. I don't think they have it. They don't allow the viewing of it in China now.
Maybe a better way to describe it. I think they were. This sounds stupid. It sounds. I'm using like a wrestling term. Like cheap popping. A cheap pop.
What's that?
A cheap pop would be like, it's great to be back in Wisconsin. And I'm a wrestler and I'm in Wisconsin. People are going to cheer because they're in Green Bay or, it's great to be back in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then everybody, that's our hometown. Like, you're in Charlotte.
Yeah, let's get to the meat.
Well, no, but people are going to cheer. Because it's my city and we're on TV and
you're giving us a shout out. And
we're going to cheer, but that's a cheap pop. You're not actually really painting a story.
Yeah.
And I think there was a little bit too much cheap popping going on.
Yeah, I follow. Yeah, so you're looking at that movie, you're just like, all right, where's the meat? Like, this is cute, but...
Like, I feel like they could have done a better job actually making me get connected to the Chinese culture.
Yeah.
Instead it was just like, they're Asian.
Yeah.
And here's the karaoke. And here's an older woman and
Yeah.
she's gonna hold you to it. When are you getting married? And
It's like stereotypical, like traditional Chinese meets American Chinese.
It didn't seem authentic. Whereas, like, you look at like
okay,
like the Doctor Strange, him taking his
That
journey going into the Alps.
I see
You
that.
felt
I
like
see
you were
that.
actually
within
that, and
I
even
feel
though
you.
like the characters weren't all like Asian, you still like had there's like a very obvious like Buddhist theme going on here, and like
that too. I think that they were trying to. I think that one was trying to appeal to the Chinese market also, because like I think
but it felt
traditionally,
more authentic and organic.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, because like you see the journey, like there's an actual journey from where he was to where he's going, as opposed to in Shang-Chi it was almost like instantaneous, like
we're in San Francisco and we're in Chinatown and then
the guy comes in on the bus.
But I didn't feel like I was authentically like seeing Chinatown, San Francisco. I was just like, they're.
Yeah. I mean, I think they did a good job with the grandma and they're showing the old generation, the new generation. You're seeing like
it just was a little corny to me. That's maybe a better word. Corny.
Yeah, but I think that the transition from like that to like, okay, so how did we get to where we're going? It's like it was just kind of like fast and immediate, where it's like, all right, well that was. It wasn't enough to.
Like I enjoyed all the fight scenes.
Yeah, I thought that was incredible.
The choreography was great.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy the movie. Like I did not like it just so like everybody thinks I'm not just shitting on this.
You anti-Chinese piece of yeah. You racist.
But it's because I've like seen all the Marvel movies and I like them.
Right.
That like I'm gonna be more like I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna enjoy it, and then afterwards I'm gonna be like, okay.
You expect a higher standard, and then you're just like, all right, guys. Yeah, I follow.
Just like I didn't really like Dark World, Thor, the second one.
Oh yeah, I think I like that. I think I really like that one.
I liked it. It just there's nothing memorable that comes from it.
They could have done it.
Like if they
no pun intended, they could have gone darker. If they went darker with it, it would have been.
Like his mom dies, and then you get introduced to the Mind Stone. No, not the Mind Stone.
No,
it's the red one. That's I forget what one. Or is that Reality?
Yeah, the Reality one. Yeah,
the Reality Stone. But like, I don't know.
Yeah, I like the quick little flashback to like, the Allfather's father, and it's like, like when he was fighting against.
Maybe I have to rewatch that because I only saw it like once.
It was alright, but like it was kind of cool, like to see like Thor's and Loki's relationship developing, and to see like Loki's connection to his mother, and he was like upset and bitter and mischievous, so he just like directing them into a certain kind of way, and then when that resulted in his mom dying, it kind of like broke him, and then he was just like, then he like you could understand and like really bite into like the team up that he has with Thor when he's like, all right, let's get these guys. So it's like, all right, like of course Thor has his motivations, like trying to help his lady, and trying to get this the Reality Stone out of her because it was killing her. So it's like, I got it. Like I mean,
it's just like Iron Man 3.
It's kind of like
Iron Man 3 could have been better.
Yeah, it could have. It could have been better.
Well, but it's not bad.
That has like really good elements inside of it, but it could have been. They could have taken it. Well, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Whereas I liked the second Iron Man.
I like the dialogue of the second Iron Man.
Because they had Mickey Rourke being the bad guy, and then it was like connections to like
his dad,
their dads. There was a lot to it, and then he was cool with what he was able to do, and then there was all these other like you're progressing the storyline because now you're hyping up because now you're getting into what would then be the first Avengers. Yeah, so like now, like it's souping up. So I liked the second one more than the first.
I like the second because of all the moving parts and like the introduction of Black Widow, which is probably like the best or the best
my favorite depiction of Black Widow is in that movie because it's like it is the closest that they got.
Because she was unassuming, and then all of a sudden she like kicks everyone's ass.
Exactly, it's the best.
Believably,
it's the closest thing that she got to being a spy. Like I think that movie did a lot better job of depicting her as a spy than the Black Widow movie did.
well, because after that movie, she was just like, oh well, here's the person that's on our team, and she likes to kick ass.
Yeah.
Oh, and every now and then she can go in disguise.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, that's cute, but it's like, oh, there's more there. But oh, she's out. But yeah. The you climb out of this rabbit hole. As fun as it is, you know.
Don't get away from shining sheet.
Oh, but with Doctor Strange, they didn't want to, China's really not all about Tibet. They're like, no, it's just China. And they're like, but
well, that's why they made her white.
Yeah.
That's what people don't understand. Is like when they were saying like, oh, Matt Damon, oh, he should apologize for being this. It's like, no, it was written and produced by a Chinese company.
Yeah.
And they specifically wanted to star a white American because they wanted to get crossover appeal to then make money.
Yes.
Because I was initially one of those people, oh, this is stupid. Why is Matt Damon being this Asian guy? But then when I found out, wait, no, it's actually a Chinese company that's doing this, I'm like, oh, I have like no problem with this at all. Like,
yeah. Oh,
they're making a monetary like
in context. Yeah, move. Yeah.
When I found out the Chinese produced that thing, I was like, get the fuck out. Why are people upset?
It's like what
we're getting mad at Asians for making their own decisions.
Yeah. I forgot his name. Bert. The machine. The guy. Yeah.
Brent Crystals.
That was. No. But
everybody says his name wrong.
Yeah.
So that's like a bit between like their friends or like people on podcasts. Okay. It's like, hey, how's your friend doing? Oh, you're talking about Chrysler? It's like Bert Kreischer. That's his
Kreischer. Yeah. I remember Bert, and I was like, I'll put you the last part. So the machine, Bert the machine. But when he was talking about being in the Starbucks and making the black guy laugh.
Oh yeah. I want my coffee to not know its father.
Yeah. And then the lady.
How do you want your coffee? I want it to be pulled. I want my coffee so I get pulled over by the police for no reason.
Yeah, man. And then the lady behind him getting upset. It's like, oh, this old white lady. It's just like
you can't say that.
Yeah.
He's in on the joke. Like he wants me to say it.
Yeah, he's already laughing. Like he's cracking up. Like he finds it entertaining. But then like you're over here morally posturing or pretending to care. It's like, all right, man.
Well, those are the people that don't know black people.
Yeah. It's like
it's funny to say that because like all that literally means is like, oh, you're just aware that black people are just like any other group of people, and some are gonna get offended by something, some aren't.
Yeah.
Some are bad, some are good. Some are overreacting to things, some are level-headed.
Yeah.
Some are smart, some are dumb. It's like just like
people are people. If they're black.
Just having the general awareness that they just all don't act and feel the same way.
My favorite comparison when people try to talk about, all black people are this, I'm like, all right, you know the difference between white eggs and brown eggs? Like, the white eggs were generally laid by white hens, and the brown eggs were generally laid by brown feathered hens. That's about it. It's not like one's more nutritious, one's bigger. It's just like.
Although the brown do look like they're more nutritious.
That's just because you just like the.
Well, I was gonna say the white looks like it's too much manufacturally made, whereas the brown looks like it's like, oh, maybe this came from a farm.
Yeah.
This came from someone's backyard hen house.
No way. Yeah. But I've had very interesting conversations with people I disagree with. Like I've had kind of a lot of like black people who are really all for Black Lives Matter, and I'm really not. But it's not because I don't think Black Lives Matter, but it's because I think we're
because you're viewing it as the organization, not so much necessarily the movement, because we're becoming so far removed from the movement.
Yeah, 100%.
Like it's not 2014 anymore.
Yeah.
It's been 7 years.
Yeah, and then, like I see the corruption of the organization, but even with the movement, I see like I can appreciate the movement, and like and they like they'll tell me like, oh no, well it's good because you have to understand like people like this exist. There's people who feel like we're less than, and then they get into positions of power and they utilize their position, and this movement in and of itself kind of puts them on in check. So like they're kind of aware or a little bit more aware, cognizant of like, oh, I can't get away with murder, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, like I'm with that, but I feel like we're shifting. We're shifting, like, besides my problems with the organization.
But like, what are we going to do?
Yeah, exactly. The movement, I think,
we're
is
talking,
moving.
But what's happening next?
Yeah, it's like venting. I feel like we're venting, but we're not actually doing anything. I feel like we're shifting the conversation in a direction. We're shifting focus in a direction that's not going to be the most conducive to our community. So it's like, I do disagree, but it's like, but they understood where I was coming from, but they still exalted Black Lives Matter as the premier movement for Black people moving this way, and I didn't. So it's like, that's fine. That's what's supposed to happen. Like it's not supposed to be like, oh, like you must think my way or else you piece of racist. Like no, like I just
You're showcasing your white privilege.
yeah, exactly. Oh, what was it they called?
It was Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle. Yeah.
It's because Dave Chappelle is wealthy enough and has the power and money to be able to do what he wants.
Yeah.
And has that mobility freedom. So then, when he then attacks a victimized group,
Yeah.
is then using an extension of white privilege that has been afforded to him.
Yeah. It's like that's
It
why
sounds like
I laugh. That's why like I really like when I laugh so hard when you're just like the first time you're like, yeah, words don't mean words anymore.
the words don't mean words.
And a black guy can exercise white privilege. It's like, all right, okay.
I just hate how we're simplifying the American language and then complicating it at the same time.
Yeah.
Because like that doesn't. What does that even mean?
What it is, and I think
I know what it means. It's just it's just stupid.
They can't. Yeah, they haven't fleshed it out. But what they just don't like that they don't like people in positions of power. That's essentially what it is. They want to empower the disempowered.
They're not explaining it correctly.
Exactly.
Because when you say it like that, it just pisses white people off because they're confused.
Yeah. It's like
instead of just saying like, okay, like if you're white, you don't have to deal with the discrimination or prejudice or like enslavement,
yeah.
which then is going to create a different dynamic and how those generations are being raised.
Right.
If you then also in turn have money and potential power, you're then dealing with racial and class issues where you might not be actually aware of any type of issue that those people are growing up with.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
That's it right there.
But when you say, oh, this person's exhibiting their white privilege, it's like...
what's the line? Like, take out a definite, like a book, and then I gotta read this, and what do you mean? What I don't understand.
Well, because it's an attack. It's not an educational, like, it's not like, well, they're just exhibiting white privilege. Like, they're showing their ugly truth.
Yeah. So that's why it's like I think the whole canceling thing I think is a bad idea. No matter where it's coming from, like I understand the dynamic of why counterculture is coming back against it, but I think canceling in general is a terrible idea. I think overcomplicating simple concepts is a terrible idea. I think oversimplifying complicated concepts.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're simplifying the complicated and complicating this. It's just like the genders.
Yeah.
Like we can't try and educate people and just accept, like, we'll say trans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we haven't even gotten people to understand what trans is, and we're jumping into gender nonconformity and
pansexual
and never-ending introductions of gender identity pronouns. So, like, people don't have a chance to be educated on your base level understanding.
You're literally speaking a different language. like we don't know what's happening. So it's,
And then you're getting mad. And then like throwing around words. It's like, I should be mad.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And then when I finally latch on, it's like, all right, now I understand trans.
And then you're fucked because
and now I understand phobic.
Because you're outdated by a year and a half.
Yeah. Like I was really confused when it's like, oh, Dave Chappelle's transphobic. And I was like, I don't think he's afraid of trans people. I don't think he has like a wild fear of.
That's the same thing with the homophobia.
Yeah.
That was being thrown around so much. Like, not everybody that's against gay marriage is afraid of.
Yeah, most people who are like, especially if they have a strong Christian background, is just like, no, I think that
marriage is an institution that should be based in the eyes of God.
Yeah. So it's like,
and God doesn't agree with that, so you shouldn't be able to get married.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of
that's
it.
That's not phobic. Yeah,
I didn't even want you to not be with each other.
Yeah. So it's just different. So and then like you could go on, and then from there we could have a conversation. From there you could be like, oh well, like how come you don't feel that strongly about people who lie and people who kill and stuff like that? You're not railing or creating rallies or advocating against these people. But then when this thing that Jesus himself never even mentioned about gay relationships, like you have a big issue with it. So it's like, so what's the issue? So like we could have that conversation, but that can't happen if we're just gonna create words and simplify the complicated and complicate the simple. And
then there's too much dishonesty because you never know if somebody's actually truly like
think the way that they do it. They're just morally postulating or peacocking.
They like share the sentiment, but they're just like leaning into it and trying to like get the attention.
Yeah.
I mean, you take like the 5 top murder rates in the country, city-wise.
Yeah.
More black people are being killed in the top 5 cities than there are by cops.
Yeah.
So what would help black people?
Right, and there's the
end of police shooting black people, or there's never a single gun or gang violence crime,
right,
ever.
And there's so many organizations, like
far more help benefit the community, and then you can fix that, and then like, okay, well now the community's safer, so maybe the policing's better.
Yeah.
Oh, the policing's not better. Oh, we need to fix that.
Right. It's like it's oversimplifying. Like I was born in Chicago, where it's like gangs were like running rampant, and there was organizations.
A day and a half. I think it's like a person and a half or 2 people a day are being murdered.
Yeah, I'm sure, man. It's crazy,
and it's in the same like block.
Yeah,
it's like a couple blocks.
I mean, city. Like the mentality of some people. Like I remember when it's like you're in the South Side and like the black area, and you're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to Harold's Chicken. And they're like, oh yeah, the Harold's Chicken spot over here is real good. And I was like, no, I went over here. It was like that's the north side, which is the white side. They're like, what? That's like, oh, you bougie. You're expensive. That's so pricey. But it's like that's because everyone's like so focused on like. There's people who've been like living in the same 16 block radius for generations. Like it's very tribal, and so it's like easy to, and then you add gangs to that. It's like it's easy to see how people get sucked into a life of violence, and there's organizations that are there on the ground, like ex-gang members who are just walking around and trying to help different gangs like reach peace agreements and teaching kids how to do other stuff. It was like not just like, hey kids, you shouldn't do gangs. It's like, no, it's a factor of life. Like you're gonna be in a gang. You're gonna be in a gang. It's just like I'm gonna try to control the fall. I'm going to try to help out. I'm going to help you look at the different avenues that you have to get to understand that the world is broader than the 16 block radius that you're used to. You know, that's real shit. But if you turn on the fucking news, you would think that the only thing that exists for black people is Black Lives Matter. And it's like the world's so much fucking bigger. Yeah. and there's like so many people. Like Steve Harvey has a fucking... has a group, has a thing, I forgot what it's called, something for boys, where like he takes boys that are in bad situations, and most of them without fathers, and he provides a structure like a military type of school education thing, where like a bunch of people who are like strict disciplinarians, but then they create all this content for them to consume and to understand about the
Like
world,
a
learn
boarding
skills.
school?
I don't know if I think it's like a camp. I don't think he has a school, but I think he has a camp, and it's they've done wonders. But it's like, and then like there's so many things and programs like that. But it's like if you turn on the news or like you listen to or talk to someone who's like really for Black Lives Matter, it's like they're not even, for the most part, they're not really aware of that. They're not really aware of all these other programs that are doing these things, that are taking these milestones.
Well, I mean, they're the same organization that wants to reject the idea of the nuclear family and that the community can raise them.
Right, because
But
white
the people,
normative.
well, no, because the people that need them, the people that need the most help are the people with the worst communities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how is a terrible community that has no economic worth supposed to raise people to be economically so self-sufficient?
Stupid.
like no one in your community owns a business, but you
fucking idiot, yo.
no one owns a business, no one's built anything, no one's gone to college, and then you're then gonna in turn then raise people.
Encourage.
I'm sure that's gonna work out.
Generation subservience. Yeah, it's like it's almost like, and this is an extreme take, so it's like I'm just like I'm guilty of doing the same thing that they're doing, like taking the extreme take. But I part of me really believes this. I think that they're that kind of thought process, like encouraging people to just suck on the teat of government taking care of us. It's like you're encouraging a generation of people to go back into slavery. Like you want people to be subservient or dependent on big massive government to provide everything that you need to survive.
I would have to look into the backgrounds of these people, right? Because just because you're black doesn't mean you like grew up in a rough situation,
right? And then like I understand
because that some of that verbiage sounds just like white privilege stuff. it just sounds like people that like haven't really felt hard times, and don't know like, oh no, like it's terrible.
Right. Yeah, like if you were to say that, okay, well,
like my parents could not give a shit about me, and like one could be a drug addict, and my life would be over.
Right.
Before I even like amounted to anything.
Yeah, a little less to do about race than to do with my parents, the way that they look at us. So it's like the way that my parents look at me. So it's like there's so many other moving parts, and it kind of like you kind of alluded to it before when you were talking about the people like took a genuine approach and like explaining, looking at the this racial condition and
mapping it out so like people can like actually intake it.
Yeah. So then it's like if you were to look at like black people in general, if we were going to utilize generalities, it's like, well, black people in general have been held back economically for generations because of this policy and that policy, and that's created a bad environment in our community. And even after we were able to
take into account the welfare programs.
That
have then created maybe like 2 or 3 generations of people depending
subservient. Just
depending on that government to be giving them the funds in order for them to exist.
Yeah.
Which then, if they're not raising their kids in the correct way, then their kids are then going to in turn live off the government, and then you just get the cycle of no one really amounting to anything.
Right, and they get used to that, and they're like, oh, they were doing that, and then it's like, all right. So
well, black prosperity was better when we had segregation.
Yeah, it was, and that was a big push.
They didn't have anybody helping them, so it was literally like, oh, I'm either gonna die or I'm gonna do something to achieve something. Yeah. And then, well, my kids, they need to be better than me because I don't know how to read.
Right, and you had the black pimps sitting with the black hoes and the black lawyers. So it's like, okay, we're in this together. Like, even though like you do this and you do that, okay, we're part of a community that's fucked up and this is good. So we're like progressing in the positive direction, which is why the whole
You're talking about Black Wall Street?
Not even, but I was going to say about the Islamic movement in Black America, why it took fire why it grabbed hold so much, because it was just like, oh, this is
we're gonna help each other.
Yeah, it was like more of a brotherhood, more of a, all right, let's not do drugs at all. Let's not drug alcohol at all. There's no intermarital affairs at all. Like, let's just focus on building a core family, and then from there we can build a core community, and then from there we can make the change, be the change we want to see in the world. But now, with that as the fucking backdrop in history, just a fucking couple, generations ago, where we're studying this shit, and then like to move from that to nuclear family is
it was created by the
construct,
white devil.
whatever the fuck, man. Like, so yeah. Besides that, Black Wall Street, the Negro Leagues, like, yeah, we're really.
It made me think of something that was funny. Kwame Brown had something to say about LeBron James.
Oh yeah.
Because apparently, LeBron had made some statements about like the Rittenhouse.
Oh yeah. I haven't seen what he said about Rittenhouse, but
wrong as usual.
Oh boy.
I mean, it wasn't anything bad. It was just he's bad
misinformed.
Take.
Yeah.
But he said something like he's deeply worried about like when he got released. I don't know. This is just like a 2-minute clip, so I don't know when this was done or whatever. But Kwame was like, "Why is LeBron James worried about a 17-year-old white boy shooting 2 other white boys? If he's so concerned about the black community?" And then he started laughing, and he was like, "LeBron, you got enough money that you can fund Black Wall Street by yourself."
Damn, word, yeah.
And then he was like, "Why don't you fucking do something about it?"
Yeah. Oh shit! Wow, that's a call out. Oh yeah.
And then he went on to talk about like how he always shies away from talking about China, but then was deeply worried about this white boy, and he kept bringing about. Just like, why are you worried about this white kid?
Yeah. That was a big thing, man. Like, I couldn't believe, like, I didn't know.
Well, my girl thought he killed black people.
Yeah. And
like, I'm talking about like 3 days after he was found not guilty, and I was like, okay, no, he killed these like these 2 white guys. Like, one was a pedophile, and she was like, they weren't black, and I was like, oh, I thought they were black.
Nah. One was a pedophile, and the one that was a pedophile was straight up like, shoot me, nigga, shoot me, like in a confrontation.
Well, that was earlier in the day.
Yeah, and
then later in the day, he just grabbed the barrel and put it against his head, and he got his head blown off.
Yeah, and then he's chasing after him and throwing shit at him, and then it's like,
and then the other guy that got killed was I think beat his wife.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I know the guy he
was arrested for domestic violence against a woman.
Oh wow,
I know that.
Well, I know that like the second time he shot, or like the first guy, like he was even trying to help him for a little bit, and he ran away. It's like an unfortunate situation. I can't imagine a teenager going through that, but well, you know what? Never mind. There's child soldiers and shit, But still, from I understand, like, someone from his background experiencing this, and he's just like, I can imagine how rocky it was.
He crossed state lines.
Yeah, that too. Oh, that's beyond.
He crossed state.
Yeah.
Somebody has a video that's like 10 minutes long of just everybody just saying, just like repeatedly. Cross state lines. He crossed state lines. Cross state lines.
Yeah. I was just, that's too much.
And then he didn't even cross state lines.
Yeah.
He didn't even.
But it was,
and it's not illegal for me to like own a firearm, have it in my trunk, and then drive to Maryland to go to a shooting range with you.
Part of me just wants to like sit on the like George Washington Bridge and just like record how many cars go in and out of New York.
Look at how many people are crossing state lines. And he lived a mile from the state line.
And he
like it wasn't even like a journey. It wasn't like I'm gonna drive 3. His dad grew up in Kenosha.
Okay.
And then his grandma, maybe like an aunt and uncle, and they're, when like they're listing off people, it seems like his aunt and uncle who are married, who then have like 1 or 2 kids, live there. His grandmother still lives there, and then he works there.
Yeah, that's what it is. He works there. Yeah. So
He has very good reason to be there.
yeah, but like even beyond,
It's like a 25-minute drive.
Yeah.
It's-
well, like I could take the argument because it's like there was supposed to be a curfew, and then it's
well, he
like,
was guarding a building.
and he was yeah. So it's like
He asked, it's like, oh, do you want me to, like, go?
yeah, and they're like, I'd appreciate it because another place got burnt down to the ground. So they're just like,
So
yeah.
he was a white guy who shot and killed 2 white people, protecting a non-white owned business.
You know, it's worse than it's even worse than that because for real, like that's what he was doing there. That's just the setting. But for real, like the people that he shot, like one guy was coming after him, throwing shit at him, and he was running away. You know, so and he ended up killing that guy. He didn't mean, like, at least I don't know what he meant to do, but I could say I saw him like he was trying to stop the bleeding, like he was just like, oh shit, and then he went to then he started running again. Whether you believe he's trying to run from the scene of the crime or if he was running toward the police to turn himself in, I could like I see how radicalized people can be on both sides of that argument. And so one guy who was there who thought he was fleeing the scene of the crime was trying to stop him, but instead of going to the police, it's like, okay, he felt like, oh, I need to take this into my own hands, I need to stop him. And then he he hits him with a skateboard, which is, I mean, that's assault. But like, if you think he's running around killing people and then running away, it's just like, all right, and it's justifying means, I guess.
I don't get in violent altercations with strangers in the street.
Yeah, but
that's usually my go-to stance.
Yeah, that's a nicer rule of thumb. But let's say you saw him,
especially if he's holding a firearm.
Yeah, bad idea. But like, if you see him. If you think he's out here just killing people and running away from the scene, I get going after him. I get trying to subdue him. I don't get firing the round. Like this guy fired, like started to fire, like shot around. So it's like, okay, if you're trying to subdue him, scaring the shit out of him, scaring the shit out of someone who you think is capable of murder.
Someone shot?
Yeah, well, like I don't know if they're shooting at him.
Well, I know the third guy. The third guy pulled his gun out.
Yeah.
And then he shot him when he pulled his gun out. And then he said that in his testimony.
Yeah.
And then he's going on interviews talking about how he's a racist and a murderer. I'm like, you literally just like proved the defense's case that he wasn't trying to kill people randomly.
Yeah.
You should have lied under oath.
Yeah. Well, it's just so I don't know if I know he pulled his gun out. I thought he had shot. Because then it's like, oh, he heard a shot and he turned around. And he was like, he sees this guy with the gun out and he fires at him. But then after he noticed that he was, or maybe he meant to kill him. If that's the narrative you want to go with. He meant to kill him, but he.
I knew he drew his weapon and then got shot.
Yeah, but it's like, but no, I'm talking about Rittenhouse. If people are dedicated to showing Rittenhouse as a bad person or like this evil miscreant who's like just shooting people and running away, it's like if you think this guy's capable of murder and running away from the scene of the crime, I don't think taking a gun out and firing, like, you should never take your gun out unless you're ready to use it.
I'm
like,
just very jealous.
It never should be an intimidation thing. Like, that's the worst fucking thing you could ever do because you just escalated the playing field. So, like, if you're not willing to clock back that hammer, it's like the next person who does have one will. And then you just put yourself in a life or death situation and you're not willing to do what you need to do in order to live. So, or if you are, then it's like, then be honest that you're not trying to subdue him. You're just you want to be the hero of the story and kill a racist white kid.
Well, I'm just jealous. He's going to be a multimillionaire.
Oh yeah, I see that. Speeches to come.
No, lawsuits.
Oh, you think so?
Dude,
like
the president of the United
States
States came out and called him a white supremacist.
Yeah, it's defamation lawsuit.
He's going to sue Joe Biden.
Yeah.
He's also going to sue The View.
Yeah.
Because it was Whoopi and who's the other chick? The older white girl.
I can tell you.
Joy Behar? There you go.
Yeah, maybe. Only person on the View is Whoopi.
Okay, well, yeah. Whoopi and Joy Behar, I think that's how you say her name.
Okay.
He's going to sue them.
Yeah.
because they both went in hard in the paint about him being like this radicalized, like white supremacist, and the whole thing, like he's gonna murder everybody. And I think they did a rant like a day or two, like whatever, some recent show following I think the verdict. So he's already been found not guilty, and they went in on him. So he's like, he already has to think a lawsuit against somebody.
Yeah, I see.
The kid with the what the hell is that? The MAGA kid with the hat and the Indian was the Native American
who
was
was just banging the drum in?
He's still getting lawsuits, not ratified. What is it? Going through. Like last week, he had one that like finished with like I don't know who it is. I'm not gonna lie and like throw a name out there.
Yeah,
but he had one with CNN that went through like 2 years ago. Brent Crystals. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just had another like big lawsuit go. A big media. I don't know who it was, but and that just went through.
Yeah.
And that happened like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Or like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah, it was pre-COVID. Yeah, at least 2 years ago. Yeah. Wow.
So that kid's still getting lawsuits.
Yeah.
So this kid. That kid got lawsuits just because he smirked at somebody, and they were saying like, "Oh, he started everything."
Yeah,
they didn't even go in on him.
Yeah,
they went in on Rittenhouse, so he's going to make so much money.
Yeah, damn.
I want to commit a non-hate crime and then have be able to sue everybody.
Well, it's just like I'm trying to. Think about how to fight against the dogmatic mentality of just
well, because this sells. This is how you get likes and and views and stuff like that. So I mean, we're kind of fucked.
I think we could like dogmatically not dogmatically. I'm talking like utilize the same weapons against them, like not in terms of like canceling and all that jazz, but just like call them out on their shit, like the whole like transphobic instead of being transphobic. Like instead of explaining,
well, I mean,
like we could explain,
like the Seth Rogen thing. Like it wasn't like cancel this. It was just like like, just leave it. Can you leave Santa alone? That's essentially what it was. It was just like, can we just have one nice thing?
Yeah.
Without you throwing in your political issues into it. Like, it's just Santa Claus.
Yeah. So it's just...
And really, it was just people reviewing and downvoting his Rotten Tomatoes.
Damn.
Because that just had a very low percentage, like 2% or something.
Okay. Like they just like,
and then he came out and then was like, oh, a bunch of white supremacists are downvoting my thing.
Wow. Holy shit.
Or he said thousands of white, or whatever the hell it was. So basically he said anybody who doesn't like my show is a white supremacist.
Wow.
Which then, of course, in turn gets more reaction from people like, oh, you suck. Yeah. So they're not actually calling to cancel his show. It's just like, oh no, this is terrible. Nobody likes it.
Yeah.
Nobody likes it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have 1% on your fans and then say that a bunch of white supremacists. No, like nobody likes it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like people like
it's like Dave Chappelle. When Dave Chappelle gets the 99% approval fan rating on Rotten Tomatoes, it's not white supremacists liking Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Everybody likes Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. It's like, I think people are just grossly underestimating the amount of white supremacists we have. There's definitely white supremacists. I don't think it's millions of people in America.
But that's like a good type of canceling. It's canceling through just like people saying, "Oh, this isn't
they're
good."
Trying. They're not trying to cancel it like you were saying. They're just like, "Oh, well, this is my opinion." Oh, you're saying some wild shit.
Sometimes they do, but like that instance was just like, "Oh, this show sucks."
Okay.
You suck. And then he came back and was like, "Oh, you're all racist." And then everybody was like, "You're Jewish going after Santa Claus."
It's almost like, you know, like those old school like the 90s diss tracks where it's like it's like, oh yeah, like, you know, they have like the guy like sucking, like you hear like the sound like sucking dick in the beginning of the song. You're just like, oh man, it's like a.
Where is this going?
No, talking about like the shit talking, like oh you're a racist. It's like and like the diss tracks from like the worst thing you could say is like oh you're a faggot. So it's just like so I'm just trying to say like it's like a stupid argument. It's like what? So it's just I don't know. I think it's crazy. Like he has an incredible level of clairvoyance to be able to understand the mind of everybody who's downvoting what he says instead of
because he's leaning in. It's just like when he was getting into that little bit of a Twitter spat with that guy who was pissed off
about people breaking into his car. Yeah.
And he's a big liberal guy.
Yeah.
But he was just voicing a frustration because, like, oh, my car got broken into.
My daughter's gifts.
And then
like,
Rogan comes out and not only says, like, oh, like, it's not that bad of a city and da-da-da-da-da. But then he says, like, oh, my car's been broken into 15 times. I was like, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a city.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert, your area is not that. My area that I live isn't that bad. I've only had my house broken into 5 times. You'd be like, 5 times? Like over what period?
Yeah.
Is it like 30 years?
Are you still living in the same place? Like, man, I'm like, oh wow, they left me something. It's like, oh, that's cool.
A knife?
Yeah. Oh wow, it's a dead body. Yeah. That's
so
just
then he just sounds completely like. Regardless of whether he's right or wrong, it's like you have to understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're saying it's okay that your car's been broken into 15 times.
Right.
Just because it was parked.
Yeah, that doesn't alarm you at all, man. Like it's not especially if you have kids. It's like, oh man, like someone's violating the security of What if they have the possibility of breaking in?
What if they got a cut because of something else?
Yeah.
They were in a fight earlier, and they have a cut, and they have AIDS, and then they have blood on a seat.
Yeah.
And you can potentially contract AIDS.
Yeah. Or what if they're just crazy? They're not 100% sane, and they're not just the Robin Hood of that. They're just like looking for stuff. Nothing valuable here. Okay, I guess we'll just leave it. Like, what if they're just like capable of incredible violence, and the fact that they can break into your car? Like, what if you just you come into the car one day and they're just sitting there waiting for you, like, or just hiding in the trunk? Or what if you ask your kids to go to the car? Hey, I'm about to come out there. All of a sudden the car drives off like that.
You
that
probably wouldn't want your kids to go to your car in LA.
Yeah.
They could be raped by a meth head.
Yeah. So it's just like I don't think you should take that lax approach to like, oh yeah.
And this LA has like the most like homeless people in the country. It's like, okay, Seth, just chill out. Like, he's pissed off and mad.
Yeah.
But let's not act like you're some fucking great city.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And it's just
like I've been to Chicago. It's not that bad.
It's very clean looking.
No, there's just a couple of blocks where like that crime is bad.
Yeah.
But like the general city, it's not littered with homeless people.
Yeah, I would say it's almost like there's a lot of violence, but the violence is like very internal. It's targeted. Yeah. Whereas like if you go to
the general city is not bad. It's much safer than DC.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I feel much safer in Chicago than I do in DC. Maybe it's because of...
And I've only visited Chicago once, but like in walking around the city, I was like, oh, this is actually like nice.
You can walk around at night, like, like this part's in New York where you're just like, fuck no, there's no way. There's no way.
New York's a great city, but it's not that safe.
Yeah, it's not safe at all. Like there's some places like I would never walk around.
New York's just a great city because of like the ambiance. Like
like the shopping area is nice.
It's not like actually a great city.
Yeah.
Like it's dirty. There's a lot of crime. There's a lot of homeless people.
There's a crazy amount of like just. I've had and also I had my cousins in New York. Like I've had people like there was cousins stuck at gunpoint and then like they snatched the necklace off your neck.
Yeah,
like, that's wild shit. So it's like, that's a little different than just.
Most major cities aren't great.
Yeah, we get that.
But they're great because of of what you can do in it.
Yeah, and it's open all the time.
It's
like
not a bastion of hope. Like,
Yeah, all that to say, like, you know, when people look at the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, it's like, I don't know if there's a lot of people taking like a pragmatic approach. I think most people looking. I can't.
Okay,
no. You know what? No. That's
It's
incorrect.
surface
That's
level.
saying. Yeah.
Because it was done.
Yeah. It's
There was
already-
like 1 or 2 days where people were a little bit upset, and then what happened? No one cares.
Yeah. I
We
can't-
rioted for 6 months because of George Floyd.
Yeah.
Kyle Rittenhouse gets off.
Yeah, because we know, like, oh, that's not defensible. All right. I mean, not that it's not. I mean,
But it was just after he after he was found not guilty, like
all the information was fleshed out.
well, there was so many people that were like trying to like articulate and being like, no, like regardless of whether or not he should have been there, like you have to understand,
Yeah,
there's
the
like no
situation
way
in and of
that
itself.
you could possibly prosecute this person.
Right. Like even like assuming like this is the most evil person in the world, and he's doing this thing. Like, okay, but he was running away.
80% of the things that you're told
he was-
that were told in the media are lies,
Yeah.
and that did not happen.
Yeah.
Like his mom didn't drive him there.
And people are still like spouting the same kind of thing. And people are like, oh well, what kind of parent does this? It's like, yo, like there's so many different people in the world. Like,
Because I didn't know
can't
that he
understand.
stayed at his friend's house until after the trial.
I didn't know that either. Wow.
Oh yeah, no, he spent the night at his friend's house, who lives in Kenosha. His friend had a gun because they hunt.
Oh yeah, no, I heard that. No, I thought you meant after the like he stayed at his like he didn't feel comfortable going back home.
No. He spent the night at his friend's house the day before he went to the protest.
Yeah,
So he was
and
at his
it's like-
friend's house, spent the night, woke up, and they both got their guns and went to go guard buildings.
The way that I explain it, it's like
And then I like how earlier today he's cleaning spray paint off of buildings.
despicable fuck.
He's got his gun around his back, and he's just wiping down with like Clorox.
Oh, it's like,
Like, look at this animal who hates this community.
piece of shit.
He's wiping down with.
Piece of shit. Racist fuckface trying to clean shit up. Yeah, man. I was gonna say that most people this or that. It's like, no, not most people, but I think certain people, like a small fraction of people, that are like radicalizing.
Well, most of the people that were upset had no idea what was going on.
Yes,
Which
exactly.
that's how it is most of the time.
Yeah. It's like they're upset about the wrong thing. It's just not. If you just peel the onion back, you're just like, oh, okay.
Like I remember getting into arguments with people about the whole Jussie Smollett thing.
Really, arguments?
Well, when it first came out,
Oh, okay.
like before we knew what we knew, and immediately I was like, well, "This didn't happen." and then people were like, would be like, "What are you talking about? You just don't want to. You just don't want to. You just don't know that this stuff exists, and you want to believe it." And I'm like trying to tell them, it's like, no, like think about this. It's like, I'd be like, this is Trump country.
Yeah.
In the city of Chicago, the home city of Barack Obama. That is not Trump town.
Yeah. I
If
guarantee
Jussie Smollett was like on the lot in like I don't know, like Dallas, Texas, and like somebody said that, I'd be like, okay, Dallas is a liberal city, but it is Texas. Like that's possible. But like
I don't think anybody born lived in Chicago
walking around
would say something
Chicago
like that, would believe that.
with a noose and a MAGA hat on would be insane.
Yeah. Like gang violence alone is like, it's like, so I mean, like to imagine people just walking around like that is like, you're
at 2 a.m. That's why would a white person with a noose be walking around at 2 a.m. in Chicago?
People wouldn't be walking around daylight time with a fucking noose. You could walk past the wrong building, people come up with, what the fuck are you doing here? You think 2 a.m. you walking around with MAGA heads and all right, with the news and the news in Chicago. Like, I mean, Chicago is known for like it has a lot of there was a lot of redlining. There's a lot of like
it's just
quiet racism like that. But there's not.
It's just a diverse city that's fairly liberal.
Yeah,
you're not gonna have some person running around with like a redneck stance,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I see
assaulting black people.
I've seen like a lot of subversive racism in Chicago, but it's not like overt racism like to that level.
That's in the
It's just,
South
like, all the,
or the Midwest.
yeah.
Or it's like two people angry, like you're in New York, you're in New York, and like some guy, is fucking around your bodega, and you're like yelling the N-word at him, and he's like, fuck you, to whatever slur he wants to call, and then like he's throwing a crate down, and then you're storming out. You're not like having this like nobody's gonna like tackle a Jamaican in New York City and be like, this is Trump town. Like, that's not happening.
Oh my god. Yeah. None of your wildest dreams, yo.
But you're still gonna deal with racist shit.
Right.
It's just not 100%. That type of racism.
Yeah. After listening to the whole James Franco thing, it's just like everything's so fucking fragile. I mean,
why does every racial shit have to be like the more it's either not real or like the police are justified, that like the more outraged people are.
Yeah.
But then like the white guys who got convicted of the same week that Rittenhouse got off.
Oh yeah.
The white guys
who killed Ahmaud Arbery. Yeah. They came after it. Yeah, those fuckers
took a truck, chased him down, and then shot him like point blank with a shotgun or something.
Yeah. Those.
We're less outraged when that happened than when the Jussie Smollett thing happened.
Yeah.
And that's like that was cut and clear. That was like. Oh no, they did this.
Yeah, they chased him down like you were from like the fucking Django country.
Like there wasn't any doubt.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, they're in prison. They're not getting bail. They're going to be in prison until the trial, and we all know what's going to happen in the trial. Like everybody knew what was going on, but I guess because it was so like clean cut, like it was like, oh, we don't need to be upset about that.
But it's like that's real evil, man. Like that's real fucked up. But then like
that's the shit that they're telling people that we should be like more aware of.
Yeah, you know what? And that's
it's like the actual tracking down of black people and murdering.
Yes, because that shit does happen. So like that's something to be upset about. Modern day Emmett Till is like, fuck, man. Like that's real outrage. But then, and like even if you don't.
Well, they were upset when it first came out, but like it dissipated quickly.
Where
it's like the Smollett thing was like, oh, they don't want to believe us.
Yeah, it's like everyone can. It's like the postulating about pretending to care, as opposed to like even if you want to even the race norming thing, like the NFL finally is saying that they're not going to use using those race norming methods in order to judge the cerebral activity, after people who've retired from the NFL and they have some kind of issues that are related to brain trauma. There's like a $1 billion fund that you can access. But for black players, for the longest time, they've been judging them on a curve. So it's like, oh, well, since black people aren't as smart as white people, we're not gonna, that's not you having bad effects of after NFL, that's just you being black. So that's been happening for a long time.
Wait, so after they die?
No. As they're trying to make a mental health claim because I'm starting to have some elements of dementia. Like I'm starting to
low
get angrier, and they're just like, oh no, you're just a black guy. Like, no. So it's like, but that's been going on for forever, and that just like a few months ago, that just stopped. Or I should say, the NFL has just pledged that they're no longer going to utilize that.
Oh, you were telling me about this before.
Yeah. So that's some real shit, and that's something that's a real policy that we could utilize. I don't know what that is, but that's a real policy that we could utilize in order to rally against, in order to be like, all right, this is real fucked up. We have to do. We should be outraged about that. We should be upset that was
that existed.
Yeah. We should really look at that under a microscope. But instead, we're looking at all this other shit that doesn't really amount to anything. And especially in the Ahmaud Arbery case, which is even somebody was chased down and killed for the color of their skin. That's some wild shit. But like I said, you want to care about these MAGA hat fuckers and whatever. MAGA hat fuckers in Chicago.
If people were having like huge marches for that, I'd have been like,
Yeah.
well, I can't like be a piece of shit conservative and like weasel my into like not liking this.
Right.
Like, I'd be like, oh, why did wait, did they followed him? But did he like rape their wife? Like, why did that happen?
Yeah.
Be like, I don't know. This is you guys were on your own.
Yeah, man. That's I'd have felt real icky about that.
Like, you can't. I wouldn't be able to like say anything against what was going on. But like the Smollett thing, yeah, I can talk about it all day. Cause, like,
right.
You all are just upset and want a fake hate crime to exist. So you all are mad that like a hate crime didn't happen.
I mean, even like
so you wanted the hate crime to happen.
Even if it did happen, that's a terrible thing, or that would have been a terrible thing that happened to him. Oh man, that's terrible. But that's nowhere close to people chasing you down and killing you. That's nowhere close to being like literally.
It's like Mississippi burning.
Yes.
Except it's not supposed to take place in the 70s. It's modern day.
Yeah. It's like, or like being like, or like actual elements of racism where it's like, oh, well, like there's a policy that's in place that just ended, not like a symbolic thing like, oh yeah, racism is no longer legal in this state. Haha. It's like, all right, like that's a little fucked up that that's still been there, but all right, striking it down symbolically makes me feel good or better, but I'm not moving down there. but there's an actual policy that was in place that openly said like something that people watch almost every Sunday when the season's on, that black people are less than. You're less intelligent because you're black. That's something to be upset about. But I barely hear anybody talking about it. So, fuck postulation, man. Fuck that stupid one.
Well, I think the intelligence standard has more to do with the environment.
Yeah.
Because there are white people that are unintelligent, but because they grew up in a better surrounding and went to a better high school, they're able to get by better than if they were in a lower condition.
No, yeah, I follow that, but that's I think that's more knowledge based and.
Well, it's the culture.
Culture definitely has a large role to play when it comes to like knowing like that kind of knowing information. But when it comes to just general cognition, like your cognitive ability to like understand what's what and to utilize your brain, I think I'm sure there's some conditioning that has an impact on that.
I think there's more than than you realize.
Maybe, but I think that's less to do with conditioning. And
you got to think about like what's a worst case scenario that you have watched, like where somebody's parents and how they've acted, and then like the kids that have then come from that.
Yeah.
Right. Like, are those kids 100% like that not intelligent? Because that they were born that way, or is because they weren't really given that opportunity to actually excel in anything?
No, yeah, I see that. Well, it's like from 0 to 5. Like it's a lot of things that people don't really.
You're not fostering positive development at a young age.
Yeah. From between 0 and 5, like 95% of the brain is developed between 0 and 5, and then after that, it's like, all right, now the baseline is set in place. Now you don't know 90% of information, 85% of information by the time you're 5, but the groundwork of how your brain operates is like, so unless you've gone through like, if there's a traumatic event, like you said, like conditioning wise, like if you grew up in a household that like did drugs regularly, like the kid like walking around picking up cigarette butts and eating it or drinking beers, like that's gonna have a debilitating effect on his brain. Or if he's conditioned in an environment where like he gets beat and before he's 5, it's like oh shit, like that's a little fucked up. Or like if they deal with like abandonment issues or they're left alone in life, like they're not gonna, or they don't have a lot of that positive feedback with their parents, then it's like, or anybody, it's like they're not gonna make those connections in their brain as readily as somebody who does. But that is like, you could have that in a very poor, bad community than in a very nice community. That's kind of what I'm saying. So conditioning does play a role, but the type of conditioning that plays a factor in terms of cognition is...
Okay, well that's a good point.
Okay.
So the whole raising, because you were saying like you could be poor and then be better conditioned to excel.
Cognitively, yeah.
But the big problem with that is, and that's what also can kind of come into that whole like white privilege kind of encompassing thing, is that even if you have, like, my parents weren't like bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to say it because like my teenage years were just bad.
Yeah. Hey.
Not like that bad, but like being able to like just do things. Like I was just one of those kids.
Yeah.
So like I don't like maybe my parents were not good at dealing with that, but I was still going to like a good school, still around everybody else who was doing what they were doing. So like my parents could have been twice as bad as they were, and I still would have come out better than like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just because of what I had.
Right. No, I follow that.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you don't have a good structure from your family, on top of the fact you're going to poor schools, you're going to this, that, and the other, it's like you're just not going to be intelligent.
Yeah. No, I follow.
Because you're not your environment and everything surrounding you isn't fostering you to reach your actual full potential. So you're going to come out, if you really aren't that smart to begin with, you're going to seem retarded or something like that, because like nothing is helping you grow. Yeah,
you're going to keep on like running your head through walls and stuff like that. Yeah.
Which I think that's why they get, like, they have that view.
Well, I could see that, like, because there's definitely a clear difference between.
Well, because you've read the bell curve, right, or know of it?
No, it's the
IQ studies, and they break down demographic wise and like.
No, I'm not. I mean, I'm more familiar with the.
So like the highest IQ is like that ethnic Jew. I forget what it's called.
Okay. Oh, the ones that are.
It's not Asiatic. It's.
The ones that are in New York that wear the hats that grow the beards.
No, ethnic, like actually from the region.
Okay. Well, the IQ test.
I mean, like if I was 100% Irish, I would be ethnically Irish.
I see.
Yeah. So like an ethnic Jew is actually isn't like somebody who is came from Poland and is Jewish. It's the actual region of like. Judea or whatever the fuck, but it's called something. I don't know what the word is.
Okay.
But it's something Jew.
Okay.
And it's like an actual like ethnicity.
Okay.
But they have like, it's like the average IQ is like 146. It's something like that's like absolutely like like it's outstanding. And then I think the next one is like Japanese or like.
Yeah, and that
East Asian.
When it comes to that, that's more of a conditioning in terms of the stuff that you're exposed to and the kind of rigor that you undergo. But that's different than cognition, like cognitive ability in terms of like dementia. So it's like I think those two things are different. So like I could see it, but like I honestly don't know enough about it to
well, because IQ is basically a study of, I think, just problem solving.
Yeah, with problem solving, and then you're confirmed with it, but it's not so. As I understand it, I don't think it's based off of cognitive ability, even though I think that's what they say that they're measuring, but it's not. It's really problem-solving skills for a specific problem set.
I thought it's just supposed to be like a general intelligence.
Yeah, but whereas the cognitive studies, like the whole like measuring whether these NFL players really have dementia or these problems that can be linked to the concussive injuries that they suffered in the NFL, is more so. Like the EEG scans that are like measuring the electro.
But they're just taking the past views, I think, of what black people are viewed.
Yeah. I think so. I think that.
Okay, I'm saying the bell curve. African Americans, I believe, have a 10-point less average than white Americans.
Okay. Yeah,
but then at the same time, African Americans have, I think, a 5 or 10 points higher average than Africans.
Okay.
So African Americans have a higher average IQ than Africans.
Okay.
But slightly less than white Americans.
Okay.
So that's what I was talking about. Like
So that's like, and if we were to talk about like systemic racism, that's what I imagine, like stuff like that, stuff that's like set in place back in the day, and people
instead of just studying it, you're taking it and then putting it into practice.
Right. You're thinking like, oh, you're taking that. And
you're black, like, you must be less intelligent, so I need to treat you differently.
Of course, yeah. So that kind of stuff, I could see battling. I don't think like everybody sitting at the top of the NFL that are just like a bunch of racist people, like yeah, and get all these niggas to throw the ball and shit. Like what I think it is, like you said, like a systemic kind of racism where it's just like, oh, like there's these practices that were in place that look at us as less than, and that's why.
And you're not changing that mindset.
Yeah, because you don't think
Or
that
updating
it's wrong,
it or whatever.
yeah, you're just like, oh yeah, this matter of fact, this is what science proved at this time. So science is science. That must be what it is.
Well, some people are trying to, because that study is viewed as being racist.
Mm-hmm.
But some people are trying to say that, like, well, how can we change that? And then if this can't be changed, how can we help going forward?
Right. And see, this is the way conversations about race should be. And if people focus more on this, then Jesse Smollett and fucking Kyle Rittenhouse, which wasn't even a racial issue, but
Asians come here regardless of their background, and they succeed for the most part.
That's yeah.
Well, they have the highest income. They have the highest college graduation rates.
Yeah, but it's I have to put a pin in it. Unfortunately, I like where it's going, but fucking time constraints. But all right, y'all.
We can break down racial success demographics later.
Yeah. We'll jump into the next episode.
All right.
All right, y'all. Peace.